Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So today we're tackling something that honestly trips up even the most enthusiastic DIYers, engineering battery cables for a 5 kW inverter system. It's a completely classic scenario. You drop thousands of bucks on top-tier batteries, you get this amazing shiny inverter, and then you bottleneck the whole shebang by connecting it all together with cables that are just way too small. The tricky part? The inverter might actually still power on, and that gives you this huge false sense of security while hidden problems start brewing immediately. By the end of this explainer, you're going to really understand the actual math behind battery cable sizing and exactly why getting this wrong can completely ruin your off-grid investment.
All right, let's look at our roadmap. We're going to break down the common cable sizing myth, figure out how to calculate your true current draw, and check out the massive difference between 12-volt and 48-volt setups. After that, we'll dive into resistance and heat loss before wrapping up with physical connections for complete total system safety.
So, jumping right in. Section 1, the cable sizing myth.
We really need to talk about this super common, kind of oversimplified approach that so many places teach when folks are just starting out. You probably know the one. Step 1, look up your inverter wattage. Step 2, divide those watts by your battery voltage. Step 3, glance at a basic little chart to pick your cable gauge. And boom, Step 4, install a fuse and power it on. Now look, while this might get an absolute beginner off the starting line, it is actually a massive trap. It completely ignores a bunch of critical engineering factors that ultimately decide if your system is going to run smoothly for years or just fail catastrophically.
Because the difference between those two outcomes is literally night and day. Our goal isn't just to make the little green light on the inverter turn on, right? The goal is to build a perfectly sized system that operates safely, highly efficiently, and reliably for the long haul. But if you just rely on those basic current charts, you end up with an undersized cable. Sure, the cable itself might survive the current, but you're opening the door to massive voltage sag, dangerous overheating, totally random inverter shutdowns, and yeah, a very real fire risk.
Which brings us to Section 2, calculating true current draw.
Okay, time to toss those basic charts out the window. Here is the absolute golden rule you have to remember. Cables carry current, not watts. When you say you have a 5 kW inverter, that only tells us the power level. To actually size your cables properly, we need to know the current. And here's the real formula for DC current draw. Current equals power divided by the result of voltage multiplied by efficiency. And man, that efficiency part, people forget it all the time. Inverters are not 100% efficient. Actually, scratch that. No inverter is perfectly efficient. So factoring that in is absolutely vital to finding the true, real-world draw on your battery bank.
Moving right along. Section 3, the 12-volt versus 48-volt difference.
Let's actually put this formula to work and see what happens in real life. Your system voltage is a total game changer. Imagine a 48-volt system with a 5,000-watt load running at 90% efficiency. You're pulling about 116 amps. That is very manageable. But drop that battery bank down to 24 volts. Suddenly, your current doubles to about 232 amps. And what if you try to run that on a 12-volt system? No way around it, that current skyrockets to a massive 463 amps. Think about that. The power stayed exactly the same, 5 kilowatts, but the current just exploded. This right here is exactly why the pros strongly prefer 48-volt systems for big loads. Higher voltage means lower current, and lower current means smaller cables, way less voltage drop, better efficiency, and significantly less heat.
All right, up next, Section 4, resistance, heat, and loss.
Now, we've got to look at what happens physically when you shove all those amps through your cables, because it creates some pretty nasty byproducts. Every single cable has resistance. As current fights its way through that resistance, you actually lose some voltage before the power even reaches your inverter. We call this voltage drop, and it's calculated as current multiplied by resistance. Now remember that myth we talked about earlier? A lot of people assume, hey, the cable isn't melting, so it's perfectly sized. Yeah, not true. A cable might survive the heat just fine, but it can create such a terrible voltage drop that your inverter thinks the battery is dead. And then, low voltage alarm, and it shuts down unexpectedly, usually right when you need it the most.
And oh man, cable length. This is another huge piece of the puzzle that gets totally ignored. Those generic charts you see floating around online, they're almost always assuming super short ideal runs. A wire gauge that works flawlessly at half a meter might be a complete disaster at 3 meters. Simply put, longer cables equal more resistance, and more resistance means more voltage drop, lost efficiency, and extra heat. So, rule of thumb, you must keep those battery-to-inverter cables as short as humanly possible, while obviously still following safety specs.
We also need to talk about where that lost efficiency actually goes.
because electrical energy lost in a cable turns straight into heat. The math for this is power loss equals current squared multiplied by resistance. Okay, look really closely at that squared part. That little 2 is a big deal. Because current is squared, the heat ramps up insanely fast as current rises. If your current doubles, like say if you move from a 24-volt to a 12-volt system, the heat doesn't just double, it quadruples. It goes up by 4 times. That is usually a massive aha moment for folks, and it perfectly explains why 12-volt systems become incredibly difficult to design efficiently for high power levels.
Okay, bringing it home. Section 5, designing for complete safety. Let's zoom out from all the math for a second and look at the actual physical hardware. Because a lot of times, people blame the cable itself when things fail, but the real culprit is actually the connection. I'm talking about hidden failure points, your lugs, crimps, battery terminals, and fuse holders. Even a slightly loose connection creates instant resistance. Resistance breeds heat, and then that heat just destroys the connection even more, leading to melted insulation or completely torched terminals. You absolutely have to use properly sized lugs, invest in a good crimp tool, and torque every single bolt to spec. The cable is only half the battle. Those physical terminations are exactly as critical. You also have to design for the real world, and that means surge loads. A 5kW inverter might be rated for 5K continuous, but it can gulp down way more than that for a split second when things start up. Think about your fridge, an air conditioner, or a water pump. When those motors kick on, they momentarily demand a massive spike of DC current. Your cables have to be beefy enough to handle that spike without dropping the voltage too far. If they can't, your startup performance is going to tank, even if your continuous running specs look perfectly fine on paper.
And honestly, we can't talk engineering without talking about worst-case scenarios. Think about it. A battery bank is basically a massive box of stored, raw energy. If you get a short circuit, those batteries can instantly dump thousands of amps into the fault. Thousands. So proper fuse and overcurrent protection, it's not a suggestion. It is an absolute non-negotiable necessity. Skip it, and you're gambling with destroyed equipment and terrifying fire hazards. Always install the appropriately rated protection exactly how the manufacturer tells you to.
Which leaves us with this one final, completely vital question to ponder. Can your battery bank actually handle the demand? Because here's the ultimate truth. You could have perfectly sized, beautiful, textbook engineered cables, but they cannot fix an undersized battery bank. If your batteries physically can't safely deliver the juice a 5kW inverter needs, thicker cables aren't going to save you. The batteries, the cables, the inverter, the fuses, the connections, it's all one giant puzzle. It all has to be evaluated and designed as one holistic, complete system. So, I challenge you. Take a hard look at your own setup, run the math we covered today, and make sure your entire power system is actually built to last.